How is it that the world's smallest country came to be? Long story short, from the year 754 to 1870, the popes ruled a country called the Papal States. The Papal States covered most of what is now modern-day Italy. It was during this time the St. Peter's Basilica was constructed. Side note, did you know that St. Peter's Basilica is the largest church in the world? This massive 22,000 square foot church dominates the skyline of Rome. St. Peter's Basilica sat on top of a hill and had a massive wall constructed around it. This area was referred to as Vatican. Anyways, the Papal States were protected by the French army, and in 1870 the French army had their hands full with the Franco-Prussian War. The Italians took full advantage of this distraction and entered the Papal States, specifically Rome, and no, they weren't just after the pizza and pretty women. They wanted to take Rome as their new capital. With his nation under new rule, the Pope hid behind the walls of the Vatican and refused to recognize the Kingdom of Italy. Since risking a religious war with the Pope is almost as dangerous as telling an Italian mother that the pasta sauce was oversalted, they made the decision to wait the Pope out. 5 popes and 60 years later, they were still waiting. Enter Benito Mussolini. With alternative motives and political pandering in mind, he struck a deal with the Pope. 1. Italy will give the land of the Vatican to the Pope. 2. The Pope would receive approximately $82 million. 3. The Pope would recognize Italy as a country. 4. The Pope promised to stay neutral in matters of politics and war. Bada boom, bada bing, the deal was signed and a new country was created. Vatican City. How Vatican City operates. The Vatican City operates as most other modern countries do, with their own laws, police force, banks, and even prints its own stamps. Although Vatican City has some very unique characteristics. For instance, did you know the Vatican City has a king? This makes Vatican City one of the few remaining absolute monarchies left in the world. The king has the power to overrule and enforce any decisions or laws he pleases. The king is an even more powerful position than the Pope. So, who is really in charge, you might ask? It turns out to be a moot point because the two roles are occupied by the same person. The Pope is the king and the king is the Pope. Depending on the matters at hand, the Pope can either act as the king of Vatican City or the Pope. This makes it all very confusing. Speaking of confusion, here are some rapid-fire facts about Vatican City that will make your head spin. 1. Vatican City has no prisons. If you happen to be convicted of a crime in Vatican City, you will serve your sentence in an Italian jail cell. I just hope for your sake they aren't playing reruns of the Jersey Shore in there. Talk about cruel and unusual punishment. 2. The Pope is protected by Swiss guards. This force is known as the Pontifical Swiss Guard. This group is easily recognized in their bright-colored striped uniforms. Originally hired in 1560 as the Pope's personal protection, they continue to remain until this day. The group has a strict height requirement. To join, you must be over 5 feet 8 inches tall. Short guards protecting the king are not allowed. 3. The Vatican City technically owns one telescope in Arizona, USA. This very large telescope sits on top of Mount Graham in southeast Arizona and conducts astronomical research on behalf of the Vatican. Next stop, landing on the moon. Treasures hidden in the Vatican. Imagine reading a letter from King Henry VIII asking the Pope for an annulment from his wife, or a letter from Mary, Queen of Scots begging for the Pope's help 6 months before her execution. Both of these exist in the Vatican's secret archives. But this just scratches the surface of the treasures the Vatican owns. Here are the 3 most interesting treasures that are possibly hidden in the Vatican. 1. Evidence of Jesus' existence. This is a big one. Apparently somewhere hidden deep inside the Vatican's secret archive, there's a recorded conversation between Emperor Nero of Rome and St. Paul. Depending on the contents of this conversation, it could prove or disprove the existence of Jesus. This begs the question, if there is evidence of Jesus' existence, why keep it secret? 2. The Devil. The Catholic Church's most well-known exorcist, Father Gabriel Amorth, is accredited with performing thousands of exorcisms before his death. He has even claimed that he has spoken directly with Satan himself. He was convinced that Satan was hiding somewhere within the Vatican. According to Amorth, the scandals and corruption the Catholic Church was experiencing can be attributed to the devil. What documented evidence the Catholic Church has of this encounter is mostly unknown. 3. Evidence of aliens. Put your tinfoil hats on for this one. Apparently, in 1998, skulls with elongated heads and small faces were found underneath the Vatican. Ever since then, the Vatican has been accused of hiding evidence of aliens as to not discredit Christianity. Some even claim there is direct evidence of aliens hidden within the Vatican's secret archive. ET phone home. If you ever thought about breaking into the Vatican's secret archives, think again. This is one of the most secure buildings in the world. Situated in a fortress-like underground bunker and secured by the Swiss guards, very tall Swiss guards, access is extremely limited. Forget about taking any photos or videos and expect to be thoroughly vetted and searched. But remember, please exit to the right through the gift shop. Thank you. The Pope and Hitler. Recently, new light has been shed on the relationship between Pope Pius XII and Adolf Hitler. Secret negotiations between the Pope and Hitler have been revealed, leading some to change their opinions on the Catholic Church. Previously, views on Pope Pius XII was split into two camps. One, some people called him Hitler's Pope and claimed he was an anti-Semite. 2. Some people claim he was a pope that did everything in his power to save as many Jewish people as possible during the Second World War. As with most things, the truth lies somewhere between these two extremes. Pope Pius XII was in a very difficult position. Certainly during the first years of the war, the Pope was concerned that Germany was going to win. His main concern was to protect the Church during a time where it could be under Nazi control. He did not agree with the Nazis' theology or much less Hitler. The truth is the Pope and the Catholic Church took a stance of neutrality during the war, and that's a guaranteed way to make both sides unhappy. Scholars are still in the early stages of deciphering the Pope's actions during this time. Critics will be quick to point out the Church's refusal to condemn the Nazis at the time, whereas supporters will be quick to claim the Pope was responsible for saving hundreds of thousands of Jews by offering sanctuary and aid. One thing is clear. The Pope's number one priority during this time was the preservation and protection of Catholics. Many countries and institutions have had to come to terms with their actions during this terrible time, and the Catholic Church is no exception. IBM, Ford, Hugo Boss, and Volkswagen are just some of the institutions that have had to answer tough questions involving Nazi cooperation. As more evidence is analyzed, there will be more to come on this subject. Wow, that was a heavy subject. Let's address a different elephant in the room. No, seriously, a literal elephant. Unbelievably, the Vatican kept a white elephant called Hanno in the Papal State as a personal pet. Hanno was a gift from Portugal. This elephant did everything, including acting in a reenactment of the Roman triumph. Hanno was dressed in festival robes and paraded in front of the Pope. I guess poor Hanno didn't take kindly to this, as after only a few minutes he threw his rider into the river. Unfortunately, Hanno didn't live long. Within 2 years of being delivered to the Pope, Hanno was dead, apparently from being prescribed gold-infused laxative for constipation. Remember, stick to X-Lax. Well, that's it. Please come back for the next one. God bless.